It began as one of those evenings that felt destined for light-hearted fun, filled with shared giggles, private quips, and a touch of playful banter. The kind of night where you let your defenses slip because you're surrounded by those you hold dear. We gathered at my closest friend's cozy apartment, a tight-knit group of just 4. The room was dimly lit, soft music humming in the background, the aroma of pizza boxes and inexpensive wine lingering around us. He sat close beside me on the sofa, his arm loosely slung behind my shoulders, his grin relaxed, his gaze warm. After more than a year together, I believed we'd uncovered every meaningful detail about one another. Sure, I kept some pieces of my history tucked away, not out of malice, but because I thought certain chapters were better left closed. That night, though, my assumptions about harmless secrets were about to unravel. The suggestion to play truth or dare didn't come from me. My best friend, caught in a wave of nostalgia for our reckless teenage days, tossed out the idea. Everyone chuckled and jumped in without a second thought. Before I could muster a subtle way to opt out, questions were already bouncing around the room. Most were light and silly. What's the most humiliating thing you've done in front of strangers? Or I dare you to send a goofy message to someone you've got a crush on. The wine softened the atmosphere, making the edges of the moment feel warm and blurry. Then, partway through the game, someone challenged him to ask me a truth. His smile was teasing yet curious, and he leaned closer as if to draw us into a private bubble, with a tone that felt half joking but carried a deeper weight. He asked, "What's the most daring thing you ever did with someone you were with before me?" My heart stopped. 2 voices clashed in my mind. One urged me to brush it off with a playful, vague answer, and keep the game moving. The other, stirred by the wine, the game's momentum, and a strange urge to be open and authentic, nudged me to tell the truth. After all, hadn't we vowed from the start that honesty was a cornerstone of our bond? So I shared it. I recounted a night from years back with an ex, a wild, impulsive moment that no one would have expected from me. I gave just enough detail to paint the picture, and the air between us shifted. His smile faded. His arm, once resting comfortably behind me, slid away. At first, he stayed silent, his eyes blinking as he struggled to absorb my words. The others tried to laugh it off, tossing out awkward jokes to ease the tension, but the mood had already soured. I felt the room's warmth drain away. In his mind, he was somewhere else, replaying my story on an endless loop. The game petered out soon after. We made flimsy excuses to leave, and the walk to his apartment was heavy with silence, so quiet I could hear my pulse over the faint drone of passing traffic. Inside, he didn't raise his voice or point fingers, but his gaze made me feel like a stranger. When he finally spoke, he asked why I kept it from him. I explained it wasn't relevant to our life together, that it was a chapter 1 closed long ago. I pointed out that we both had histories before we met, and I'd never held his against him. But he shook his head, saying it wasn't about blame. It was about the version of me he'd held in his mind, a version I'd unknowingly broken. Over the next few days, a distance grew between us. The small gestures, his hand seeking mine, the quick kisses in the kitchen, the way he used to look at me like I was his haven, vanished. He wasn't unkind, but he wasn't fully present anymore. It was as if my one truth had erected an invisible barrier, and neither of us knew how to dismantle it. I tried to mend things. I apologized, though I knew I hadn't wronged him in the present. I reminded him of our shared joy, the trust we'd nurtured, the love we'd built, but his eyes kept drifting to a place I couldn't follow. Our final talk before it all ended was eerily calm. He said he still loved me but couldn't shake the mental image of my past, couldn't unhear my words. Then came the words I never saw coming. "I can't stay with you if I keep seeing him when I look at you." And with that it was over. Not because of anything I had done in our time together. Not because of betrayal in the present, but because of a truth from years ago that should have stayed buried. I left that night with an odd sensation. Not anger, not regret, but a deep ache in my heart for how fragile love can be when it stumbles into the wrong question at the wrong moment. Sometimes it's not the secrets that unravel a relationship. It's the truths we think we're ready to hear until they're spoken aloud.